Good morning. I hope everyone can hear me. My name is Malwina Gębalska, and on behalf of the National Science Center Poland, NCN, I coordinate the CHANSE program. CHANSE stands for Collaboration of Humanities and Social Sciences in Europe. And we're very happy to organize an information session about the call organized within the CHANSE program. The title of the call is Transformation, Social and Cultural Dynamics in the Digital Age. Before we start our presentations about the call, I would like to briefly introduce you to our program. Collaboration of Humanities and Social Sciences in Europe is an initiative of 27 funding organizations from 24 European countries. The program is co-funded by the European Union within the Horizon 2020 framework program. We received a generous grant of 10 million euros for our call. It's important to emphasize that this program has been co-created by HERA and NORFACE networks. HERA stands for Humanities in the European Research Area. It's a network that supports research in humanities. And NORFACE stands for New Opportunities for Research Funding Agency Cooperation in Europe. NORFACE funds research in social sciences. The main goal of the CHANSE initiative is to organize a call for about transformation, social and cultural dynamics in the digital age. Our aim is to fund excellent collaborative research in humanities and social sciences, and also to support collaboration in these areas of research. Our meeting today is composed of three main parts. During the first part, our colleagues from HERA and NORFACE will present call topics included in our call theme description. Then we will move to more administrative part of our presentation. I will present call eligibility requirements on behalf of CHANSE Call Secretariat. Call Secretariat in CHANSE is managed by National Science Center, Poland by AEI from Spain and ETAC from Estonia. And at the end of our meeting, we will have a slot for questions. So we will try to answer all your questions during our meeting. But if there are any questions that are not answered during our session, please feel free to contact us through CHANSE email box. So let's start our session. Our meeting will be started by Wojciech Sowa from Adam Mickiewicz University in Poznan. Wojciech is also a chair of HERA network board. Just one technical thing, you can already start writing your questions. Please have a look at the screen. Here you can see a question mark, an icon of a question mark. So please write your question using this option. It's in the right corner of your screen. But now I'm happy to introduce Professor Wojciech Sowa from Adam Mickiewicz University in Poznan. Wojciech will tell you more about first topic of our call. So I'm happy to give the floor to Wojciech Sowa.
Good morning. My name is Wojciech Sowa, as you already heard. I'm professor for historical linguistics at the Adam Mickiewicz University in Poznan. So I'm here on behalf of the HERA board. And I'd like to convince you that there is a place for humanities in this call. Can I have the presentation, please? Okay. As you probably already noticed, the call has been organized in two topics which are parallel to each other. Cultural transformations in the digital age is the topic number one, which has been organized then in three subtopics. And that's actually the part which is mostly dedicated to the core humanities. We have acknowledged while we were preparing this program that actually the cultural transformations of the various kinds are the constant phenomenon in human history. On the other hand, however, we have observed that the digital tools and various processes of digitalizations really or apparently contributed to the acceleration of such transformations. And of course, we know that more and more we are living in the culture of algorithms that influences our daily lives, behaviors or cultural practices, especially now when we all are living online lives. The problem is it really so? And there are, of course, some problematic spheres, as for example, the extent of the impact of such processes on people and culture, or how radically new they are relative to past innovations, or what is the influence of different cultural traditions on technological transformations. That's why we have been thinking about, let's say, identifying three main areas where the humanities perspectives could be applied especially. The first one is called identity, values, and worldviews. And we, of course, all know that we are connected through devices which constantly yield data that are being captured, analyzed, and returned to us in processed forms. And here, of course, potential questions or research questions arise. For example, how does this affect our identity or individual sovereignty? How does it shape our encounters with and understanding of the other? Or, on the other hand, we know that digital communication is so easy, it holds the promise of social interaction, global integration, and human solidarity, but it makes, on the other hand, inequality more visible and can also isolate individuals and groups for various reasons. And here, of course, another bunch of potential research questions arise. For example, how do we create and secure spaces for free and creative thoughts in digitalized world? Or how do we address issues about responsibility, trust, and transparency? Or, for example, does historical comparison help understand these processes and problems? The second area of potential intervention from the side of the humanities, we called new stories, new aesthetics, and remaining human. Here we are talking about more or less imagination and how the imagination, which can be found, for example, in the arts, literature, philosophy, from the ancient times till nowadays, influence the technological development and various digitalization processes. Here, of course, very fundamental questions arise. For example, what are the cultural, ethical, and futuristic accounts of a digitalized world? We all know the science fiction, literature, and film, so we can predict which direction we are taking. How do they interact with the processes of digitalization? To what extent are technological transformations responsible for reshaping the worlds of our imagination? Just think about so-called electronic literature. And then the third area, which we are thinking about as a special topic for the humanities, is the humanities and technological transformations to past, present, and future. As we know that throughout its history, humanity has experienced many forms of inventions, some of which have brought major technological transformations, for example, inventing of writing. And here, of course, we might ask what is and might be the role of the humanities as a discipline or disciplines in assessing large systemic transformations. Can we compare current developments in the digital era with historical phenomena, or reflecting on the human use and adoption of new technologies? Is there a place in all this for humanism, or will it be replaced by some non-anthropocentric vision of humanity? And you already heard probably about so-called post-humanism stream in the current philosophical and literary, for example, research. Here's nice illustration of potential problems connected with the topic from the perspective of the, let's say, core humanities, from someone's perspective who's dealing with the ancient languages, as myself. And you may ask, but in all this, what type of research we address? So first of all, we have to emphasize that we are welcoming innovative and ambitious research projects that will develop the field conceptually and empirically, so focusing on the context and consequences of innovations, and that formulate new research questions, and that's the most important part. So the call encourages proposals based on a comparative perspective, and the inter and transdisciplinary research is especially welcome, but it's your as a responsibility as potential principal investigators or project leaders to choose, which perspective you would like to apply. And then the proposals can emphasize both theoretical developments, qualitative investigation, but also quantitative data and experimental designs, as well as mixed methods and meta-analysis of or systematic reviews. This program has been, of course, principally focused on the European context, but you are also welcome to make a comparison to and to step behind the boundaries of Europe and take a global perspective in comparison as well. One of the most important aspects of this call is the knowledge exchange and impact perspective, which you will be especially asked to apply in your research. And we have our own definition of the knowledge exchange, and we think about it as a two-way process which brings together academic staff, users of research, and wider groups and communities to exchange ideas, evidence, and expertise. And you will be asked to develop such collaborations, and of course you may choose whatever partner you wish: public sectors, museums, galleries, industry, practitioners, and so on. But all those collaborations should be meaningful for all partners involved, and they should enable joint learning throughout the duration of the project. A knowledge exchange perspective, as you will see, should be included already at the application stage, even if, of course, you may not know the potential impact of your research in future, but proposals should include concrete plans for collaboration and knowledge exchange, identifying already at the application stage the potential audiences you would like to interact with. So active inclusion of non-academic partners from the preparation phase of the project is encouraged. So I would like to give you a hint. There is a short guide to knowledge exchange and to outreach and public engagement at the HERA webpage. So you are all welcome to consult it while preparing your application. So thank you very much. That's all for the humanities part. Back to Malwina.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the presentation. I would like to assure you that Wojciech Sowa will also stay with us for the question and answer session. So if you have any questions, Wojciech will be able to answer them. And now we have also another special guest, Professor Jonas Radl, who is the Vice Chair of NORFACE Network Board. He works at Carlos III University of Madrid. He's also affiliated at Berlin Social Science Center WZB. So now I would like to give the floor to Jonas Radl, who will present the second part of our call theme. Good morning, Jonas.
Good morning, Malwina, and good morning, everybody all over the continent. It's great to see that we have such a large and diverse audience, and yeah, I have the pleasure to present the second topic within this call. I hope the slides will be coming up. Yes, thank you very much. I should stress that some of the points that Wojciech just made at the closing of his presentation about the type of research, as well as about knowledge exchange and impact, also apply to the social science component of this call. So these were kind of cross-cutting issues, and I'll be also mentioning some of those. So the second topic is called digitalization and social transformation. And what we would like to produce here is new evidence on the social determinants, the dynamics, and the effects of technological innovation for society, starting from the observation that we need fresh knowledge to optimize the benefits of technological transformation while mitigating possible disadvantages. And as the humanities topic, this one also has 3 subtopics that I'll introduce briefly. And then I'll also talk about through 2 cross-cutting aspects, which are interdisciplinarity and diversity, that you also find described in greater detail in the call text itself, obviously. So when we started drafting this text with a very diverse group of experts from both boards of HERA and NORFACE, plus external experts, one of the guiding notions was that we want to dig deeper into the makings, the workings, and the consequences of digitalization. So yeah, both the roots and origins, the inner workings and dynamics, and then the impacts and effects of this technological transformation that is ongoing and having these noticeable ramifications in different parts of society and human life. And I think it is easy to see that there are 2 possible poles on which you can fall when evaluating such deep transformations as we had before, when we're talking about big changes like modernization or globalization. There's always more enthusiastic view that stresses the immense potential of these innovations that can boost growth and progress for people in society. There's a catalyst of new things and emerging and new chances. For example, for social mobility emerging through such uprooting of conditions. But there's also a skeptic view that one can take, and it's fair to raise concerns, and people have been voicing those over the years already. The fear of technology undermining essential human qualities and the things that we have been accustomed to, or that we value as underpinning our values and worldviews in Europe and beyond. And yeah, we could mention especially threats to individual freedom, to welfare, and to democracy as some of these potential threats. So this in general. Then, as I mentioned, there are these 3 sub-themes, which the first one is called digitalization and social relations. So here we are especially looking for research informing the effects of technological innovation for social relations. So for example, and I stress these are only examples, and as Wojciech already mentioned, it is the task of applicants to convince the experts in the review panel of the relevance of their own views and emphasis that they want to place within their applications. So as an example, does digitalization respond to new forms of temporality, and how has it changed the pace of social life? So this observation of an acceleration that Wojciech has already mentioned. How does digitalization impact the quantity and quality of the time that we spend with family and relatives, but also with friends, with colleagues, social relationships more broadly? And then one could place a specific emphasis on questions of gender relations, work-life balance within the family, time use, also going beyond just work and family matters. Just to mention a few possible perspectives. The second sub-theme is entitled Digitalized Work and Organization. So here the focus is on the novel challenges that digital change has brought to the labor market and to the economy. So one may ask, to start with, what actors and policies have brought about these technological transformations linked to digitalization and have promoted it. Then there's a very established threat, for example, on skill bias, technological change, and the ramifications of new technologies for social inequality. What are the impacts on unemployment, wages, quality of work? But also specific questions like the ramifications of outsourcing or the gig economy have been discussed recently very widely. One may also ask more from an organizational standpoint, companies, but also maybe public sector actors such as administrations, how are they coping with the challenges of big data? How are they using it for their workings? What does it do to organizational memory? And how does this then again affect social change? Again, these are examples, and there's really very endless possibilities of questions that could be raised within these broad themes that the call is sketching. The final subtopic is called knowledge and learning in the digital age. So this addresses the new forms of knowledge production and information consumption in the digital age. And yeah, this could again address various parts of the social system, for example, the political system, elections, and so on. How are they affected by digital information technologies? What about the justice system? Media obviously play a key role in this, and there's big actors in capitalist societies driving these changes and kind of redefining the terms of engagement. And all this has ethical implications as well that could be tackled from a social science or from a humanities point of view, or ideally cross-cutting both broader areas of knowledge. One may also ask about education systems. This has been a very strong point of debate in the current COVID-19 pandemic. How well prepared are they for the digital age, and are they meeting the new requirements? From a more psychological point of view, one could address questions related to attention, cognitive and emotional skills. And again, there's these big platforms driving and affecting digital change that would be interesting objects of investigation. Finally, there's a need to better understand the role of artificial intelligence and data mining per se, but also, if you want, kind of looking back at what these digital processes mean for social science research itself. And so from a more, let's say, sociology of knowledge perspective, one may ask how are they changing the way we are doing research and the way we are able to produce knowledge for society. I come to the cross-cutting themes that are relevant to both topic 1 and 2. So we have stressed it, and it's worth repeating. The interdisciplinarity is a big focus of this call. So we especially welcome inter and trans and multidisciplinary research in all its forms. Obviously, exactly defining the boundaries is very complicated, and we don't have a very dogmatic view about it. So it's again up to the applicants to convince the experts in the review panel of novelty and of the diversity of their approaches, where it is especially welcome if there are interrelations between the different challenges and topics. So CHANSE invites new research agendas, especially applying new methodologies imaginatively in the field. We like to see fresh comparative approaches being developed and applied to familiar issues, obviously drawing on the multinational nature of this call. It is important to see the added value of this comparison of different countries being involved, and hopefully data being analyzed from different national spheres. But it may also be interesting to use established techniques in previously unfamiliar areas. Again, with digitalization still being a phenomenon that is not fully understood. Finally, a word on diversity. So CHANSE is committed to promoting gender diversity. So this means that in the research proposals, it is important to consider gender inequality whenever appropriate. We know in most areas, women and sexual minorities are underrepresented. So it really depends on the specific research question how this inequality should be taken into account. And then there should be gender inclusiveness. That means striving for gender balance among the PIs and also across levels of hierarchy in the consortia as a whole. And there's a NORFACE statement on gender equality more broadly if you want to see read more information about this. And with this, I close my presentation. Thank you very much for your attention.
Jonas will also stay with us for the question and answer session. So if you have any questions to Jonas in particular, he also is happy to take the questions. So now let's move to the next part of the presentation. I would just want to remind you that we are recording this session, and it's also streamlined on Facebook. So you will be able to see it on Facebook, and also we will publish this session on our website, CHANSE.org. We will also publish the slides of our presentation on the CHANSE website, so you will be able to download the slides so that you can read them after our meeting. I'm very happy to see that we have more than 600 participants during this session. So thank you so much for your enthusiastic response to our invitation to the webinar. We're very happy that so many researchers from all over Europe are interested in the call. Very happy to see it. In this part of the presentation, I would like to present to you general eligibility requirements in our call. So first, a very important thing, all proposals submitted must fall within the theme of the call. You have already heard from Jonas and Wojciech what research we expect in this call and what topics we have here. So you're free to choose any research question included in the call theme, either from topic 1, topic 2, or both topics. It's up to you. You're free to use your research problem and research question. So very, very important thing, your proposal must fall within the call theme. Then we expect proposals that last from 24 to 36 months. In the electronic submission system, the system will remind you about this, so you will not be able to type any other project duration. Please keep that in mind. You have to plan 24 to 36-month projects. And we do not have a strict cap on funding. However, we recommend 1.5 million euro per proposal across all partners, across all national teams. So this is just to let you know what kind of proposals we expect in CHANSE. Of course, applications must be submitted in English. via electronic proposal submission system, EPSS. So this is the only way you can submit your proposals, through this system. And a very important rule, we receive many questions about this rule. So in one international project, there should be at least 4 principal investigators. Principal investigator is a coordinator of a national team. So in one proposal, there should be 4 principal investigators from 4 or more different countries participating in the call. Here on this slide, you can see the list of countries participating in the call. This is Austria, Belgium, Bulgaria, Croatia, Czechia, Denmark, Estonia, Finland, Germany, Hungary, Iceland, Latvia, Lithuania, Luxembourg, Norway, Poland, Romania, Slovakia, Slovenia, Spain, Sweden, Switzerland, and the United Kingdom. Please note that the Netherlands is involved in the program, but not in the call. So researchers based in the Netherlands are not eligible to apply in the call. They can be cooperation partners. I will explain this category later in my slides, but the Netherlands is not participating in the call. I'm explaining it because we receive many questions about researchers from Netherlands. So Netherlands is not participating in this call. On this slide, you can see the structure of a project. So in one project, there should be 4 research teams, at least 4 national research teams. There can be more, but at least 4 from 4 different countries. So one principal investigator should take a role of a project leader. Project leader is a person based at eligible university or research institution or other institution, and his or her role is to coordinate works of the whole consortium. In one project, we can also have so-called cooperation partners. So in this category, we can have 2. We can understand it in 2 different ways. So first of all, as cooperation partners, we can have stakeholders responsible for supporting knowledge exchange activities. So partners from enterprises or NGOs or government agencies that can help you develop a knowledge exchange component of your proposal. Then we can also have partners from non-CHANSE countries. So countries not involved in the CHANSE call. I will talk about it more soon. Just to remind you, because I can see in the chat also many questions about potential networking opportunities. So in December last year, we already launched a partner search tool, which will help you find partners for your projects, or if you are looking for a project to join, you can also use this tool. We have already around 100 registrations there, so feel free to use it. You can look for partners for your projects, or you can also look for projects that you want to join. So please feel free to use this tool. It's also advertised on the CHANSE website, so you'll find a link to this tool there. Here you can see the tasks for project leaders and principal investigators. So as I mentioned, project leader coordinates works of the entire international consortium. They're responsible for preparation of the proposal, for its intellectual agenda, and project leaders are also in charge of communication with all principal investigators. This is project leader who, on behalf of the whole consortium, whole international consortium, submits the proposal via the electronic system. And also, he will be responsible for communication with CHANSE Call Secretariat. Then, when the projects are granted funding, the project leader is responsible for management of the project and is responsible for reporting to CHANSE Call Secretariat. Then we have principal investigators, including project leaders. So the tasks of the principal investigator is to lead research activities at their institution. Please remember that there can be no more than 1 principal investigator per university or research institution in one proposal. So for example, if in your proposal there are 2 institutes or 2 departments from the same university, there should be just 1 PI and 1 team from that university involved in the project. In a national team led by the PI, there can be more team members, so each PI can involve more team members. So we encourage you to involve senior researchers, PhD researchers, postdoc researchers, predoctoral researchers, statisticians. So if you need those positions in your proposal, you also can invite other team members. Of course, you have to check your national eligibility requirements to check if these positions are allowed and can be included in the budget. Also remember that it's important to choose right principal investigators for your projects. Their CVs will be assessed by panel members. And in the system, we ask you to provide one CV for each proposal, each principal investigator. When the project is granted funding, each national team, each principal investigator receives funding from their national regional funding organization. So, for example, if you have a national team from Poland, then Poland is funded by National Science Center. If you have a team from Croatia, then Croatia is funded by HRZZ, so by funding organization from Croatia. So each principal investigator receives funding from their own national funding institution. Sometimes also national funding institution ask for separate reports from their national teams. So I will talk about it a little bit also later. And please remember that one researcher can participate as principal investigator or project leader in one proposal only. So please remember, so our system will also check that. So the electronic system will check if you try to submit two proposals as PI or PL. But if there's a misspelling or a typo, it cannot see it. So please keep that in mind, that you cannot be a PI or PL in one proposal, in more than one proposal. Cooperation partners, as I mentioned, are stakeholders supporting knowledge exchange activities. So this will be institutions, not necessarily research institutions. There can be museums, there are NGOs, government organizations, entrepreneurs, and so on. So for some research funding organizations, these types of institutions are not eligible to receive funding. However, some institutions, and you also have to check that in your national or regional eligibility requirements, some research funding institutions involved in CHANSE allow for costs for knowledge exchange activities performed by stakeholders. But you have to check that. Some institutions allow for subcontracting, all travel costs for cooperation partners. And the same situation with non-CHANSE countries. So non-CHANSE countries can be involved in the project, but they have to secure their own funding. However, also the same situation as with stakeholders, some funding organizations allow for costs for non-CHANSE countries. For example, travel costs, involvement in project meetings, or through subcontracting. So please check your national eligibility requirements. Full call documentation for the CHANSE call was published on the CHANSE website last week. So you can find all documents on our website. You will find call announcement there, outline proposal form and financial plan Excel sheet, national and regional eligibility requirements, and also supporting documents, frequently asked questions, and glossary. In the call documentation, you can read about call theme. So you will find a detailed description of our call theme about the two topics, about knowledge exchange, diversity. You will find the timeline of the call, along with general eligibility requirements. We also describe their submission and evaluation procedure, information about eligible budget, and we already included their information for funded projects, so brief information about management of funded projects and reporting. Outline proposal form is also posted on our website, but please remember that we only accept proposals submitted through the electronic submission system. So the outline proposal form shows you the structure of information that is required in the electronic system. So in the system, we ask for basic information about the proposal, the title, acronym, its duration. We ask you to submit project summary. We use the summary to invite suited reviewers for the proposal. So it's important to put it in the right words so that people who will be invited to assess proposals can read it and decide if they can or cannot review the proposal. In the outline proposal form, we also ask you for basic information about project leaders, principal investigators, and their host institutions. So we ask for names, emails, addresses of the institutions, and also information about cooperation partners. And here, also please keep that in mind. You need to attach letter of commitments for each cooperation partner. We ask for a scan of a signed letter. So please ask your cooperation partners to provide a short letter where they inform that they will be supporting your knowledge exchange activities, and that and briefly describe what will be their input. But it's just a brief document, one page. In the outline proposal, we also ask you to describe ethical issues if they appear in the proposal. So if there are any ethical issues that may arise during the course of the project, please don't forget to describe it in the proposal. The review panel will have a look at it and provide guidelines if necessary. So this is very important that you remember about this part also of the proposal. We also ask each principal investigator to submit budget, planned budget for the project. So each principal investigator have their own Excel sheet where we ask for a list of budget items and a brief justification why they are needed. And finally, we ask for several attachments. So we ask for the project description. In the outline proposal description section in the system, we ask for a 5-page project description. It must be submitted as PDF in the system. And we also ask for CVs of project leaders and principal investigators. So 1 page for each PI, including PL. And also for UKRI participants, some institutions applying for funding are asked to provide a head of department letter of support. For more information, please check national eligibility requirements, and you can find information about who needs to attach this letter, but only for UKRI participants. And a very important document, which is a part of call documentation, national and regional eligibility requirements. So in this document, in the table of contents, you will find a list of countries and funding institutions. So please check who is involved in your project, and then you have to carefully read information, national regulations for your partner. So each PI must make sure that all criteria, national eligibility criteria are met in the proposal. Make sure that your costs are eligible. Some countries, some funding organizations also apply caps on funding, national caps on funding. So it's important to check your national cap so that you do not exceed the limit. If you have any doubts regarding national requirements, please check the document. If you have any detailed question, please contact your national contact point. So you can find emails and telephone numbers to your national contact points on the CHANSE website, but also in this document in national eligibility requirements. So this is a very important document. You have to meet also the national eligibility criteria. We receive many questions about the costs. So the general categories, cost categories, typical cost categories that we allow that can be included in your budget are personal costs, travel and meeting costs, equipment, material, dissemination costs, overheads. But here also you must check your national eligibility requirements, because some funding organizations allow for overheads, others not. Some would allow for administrative positions, others not. So it's also important to check your eligibility requirements. So we'll check with your national contact points. As mentioned at the beginning, there is no cap on an individual international project, but we recommend a cap of 1.5 million euros, but it's not a strict cap. As I already mentioned, also cost must be listed and briefly justified in the EPSS system in the financial plan section, and each PI has their own budget sheet. Please also don't forget to add costs of participations in CHANSE project launch, midterm, and final conferences. So we will organize those. Events for CHANSE grantees. You will be able to meet with your colleagues from funded projects during launch, midterm, and final conferences. Hopefully, we'll be able to meet physically when the projects have been started. So please do not forget to also include those costs in your financial plans. But please, again, I would like to emphasize that check your national eligibility requirements if these costs are eligible. They should be eligible for most agencies, but please double check. How to submit a proposal. Please do not forget that your proposal must be submitted through our electronic submission system. Each application is submitted by the project leader on behalf of all principal investigators. So only the project leader submits the proposal on behalf of all principal investigators. So principal investigators, they do not have to separately submit their applications. The project leader is responsible for that. We use EPSS system, which is developed by our colleagues from Estonia. So in order to apply, you have to sign in to the system, create your account, and then the project leader creates a proposal and gives a special code for his partners, for principal investigators. So principal investigators also have to create their account in the system, and then using the code, they can join a proposal. So you can see it on the screen. So project leader creates a new proposal on behalf of the whole team, and then he sends a special code to his or her principal investigators, and principal investigators, they join a proposal already created by the project leader. So here you can see project leader view. So project leader can edit the whole proposal, all sections of the proposal. Principal investigator will have to attach their CV and also edit the financial plan. So he or she will have to complete the financial plan in the system. Here you can see some more information about the roles of project leaders and principal investigators in creating the application. So also keep in mind that project leader can only edit all sections of the proposal, but PI can preview all sections of the proposal. So there is a preview option, and principal investigators can see all parts of the proposals filled in by the project leader. And as I mentioned, the project leader submits the proposals on behalf of all PIs. And also an important information, the proposal can be submitted multiple times before the deadline, which is on 7th of May 2021 at 2 p.m. Central European Time. So please remember that you can actually submit the proposal multiple times, but the last version will be the one that the call secretariat will take into consideration. Now let's move to the last part, proposal evaluation and selection. So here on the screen, you can see how the whole process looks like. We have now started the outline proposal phase. So the deadline for submitting application is May 7, 2021, 2 p.m. Project leaders submit an outline proposal on behalf of the whole international consortium. Then we start national and international eligibility check. So so the call secretariat will perform general eligibility check. but all national contact points will also check national eligibility requirements. So we'll do it in parallel, and only proposals that are accepted in the eligibility check will be sent to panel members who will assess outline proposals. So we will organize an independent international review panel. So the panel will be composed of international experts nominated and selected by funding organizations included in the call. And then the international review panel will decide which proposals are recommended for the second stage. And based on available budget, funding organizations will decide which proposal go to the next round. In around September, you may expect results of the outline proposal phase. So in September, we will send invitations to successful applications, successful outline proposals who are invited to the full proposal stage. And with the deadline of December 7, 2 p.m. as well, 2021, we will again do the eligibility check, national and international. And then eligible proposals will be sent to external referees. So external referees will be reviewers who are specialists in the topic of the proposal, and they will provide their reviews. And then you will have a chance to respond to the reviews of external referees. So we will send around March, February, March, we will send you the reviews of external referees. You will be able to answer to those, respond to those reviews in the system. And then your full proposals and your rebuttals, so your responses to the reviews will be seen by the international review panel. So this panel will decide who is recommended for funding, and then again, based on available budget, final ranking list will be approved by the group of funding organizations. What is important, so in the outline proposal form, we'll ask you to choose the topic of your proposal. So you may either choose the first topic, the second topic, or both topics. So you have to choose one of these three options. We expect a large number of applications. Of course, we don't know how many you will get eventually, but if we receive a large number of applications will be assessed by three groups of experts, depending on the topic of your proposal, depending on your choice. So first group of experts will assess the first topic, second group will assess the second one, and if we have applications that choose both topics, then we'll have a third group of experts assessing it. Then the list of those three groups will be merged, and based on ranks, we will create one final ranking list of projects recommended for funding. So please make sure that you choose the right option, because it's important from the point of view of the evaluation process. Here you can see evaluation criteria in the CHANSE call. As you see, we have ways here. So in the outline proposal stage, relevance to the call is 30%. Then potential for research excellence, so sound concept and quality of objectives, progress beyond the state of the art, and quality and effectiveness of research methodology will be assessed in this criterion. Criterion number 2, 20%. This is impact. So here we have both scientific impact and also your knowledge exchange. So relevance to stakeholders and wider community. So this is important also too. This is 20% in this at this stage. And finally, 10% quality and efficiency of implementation and management. So please keep in mind that you have to describe your management structure. So relevance and relevant experience of all principal investigators and the project leader will be assessed here. And also quality of the consortium as a whole. Here we also mention balance in terms of gender, academic age, and geographical diversity. And also relevant, appropriate allocation and justification of resources to be committed. So budget, staff, and equipment. So it's important also to to briefly justify it on the outline proposal stage. And finally, as I mentioned, the review panel will also look into ethics issues included in the proposal, and if necessary, add guidelines or recommendation for applicants. And finally, proposal selection. As I mentioned before, the review panel will provide us with a list of projects recommended for funding. However, the budget is limited, so based on available budget, a certain number of proposals will be finally funded. One more issue. So if we have exequo proposals, so if we have a proposal with the same number of points, exactly the same number of points, to choose one project, we will apply 2 additional criteria. It's not an evaluation criterion, it's a selection criteria already for proposals recommended for funding. So if we have exequo proposals, first we will fund the proposal so that each funding organization funds at least 1 project. And then criteria number 1 is for widening countries. So if we have proposals with widening countries and gender, and also for balance in terms of gender, so we will choose one of these proposals. So this is only for exequo proposals, select a selecting criterion. And finally, management and reporting. So we expect projects to start in September, October 2022. So the results should be communicated in May, June 2022, and we expect projects to start around September, October 2022. Please also keep in mind that each principal investigator signs an agreement with their national regional funding organizations, and you will receive funding from your national regional funding organization. So the project leader will not have to manage the budget of the entire consortium. So the project leader will have to manage project implementation of the project, agenda of the project, but will not have to manage it financially. So each principal investigator will manage their own part financially, administratively at their host institution, and the host institution will receive funding from funding organizations. However, the project leader will be asked to report to CHANSE. So we will ask for midterm and final reports. So these reports will have to be provided only by the project leader on behalf of all consortium members. This was my last slide, my last information. We have many questions, so we're now happy to take the questions. So we will publish the question on the screen, and me and my colleagues will try to answer your queries. So I invite Wojciech and Jonas to join me, and we will start. We're now starting the question and answer sessions. Just waiting for Jonas. Great. So let's have a look at the first question. Does the eligibility criteria relevance to the theme mean that all aspects of the call description have to be covered? Jonas, could you take this question?
Yes, okay. No, it's if you address one of the 2 topics, that's enough.
Yeah, so just to maybe to a little bit more. So it means that you have to choose a research question or a research problem included in the call. You don't have to address all questions. You don't have to cover both topics, like all questions included in the call theme. You just choose 1 or 2 questions, how many you want, how many you feel is necessary for your proposal. Mm-hmm.
Yes, and as we mentioned, the questions that were listed in my presentation and Wojciech's were just examples, and not all of them need to be covered, or actually not any of them. You may have a different question that was not in any of the slides, but it needs to fit within the general scope of the call.
Thank you. Another question, are we supposed to offer a software solution, or are we allowed to offer a software solution? Wojciech, would you be able to answer this question?
Of course, you are allowed to offer the software solution, or you produce a software solution, but it cannot be the ultimate goal of your project, since this is a research program. So we are expecting the research projects asking research questions. If you are developing a software solution, so to say, en passant, somewhere as one of the results of your project, it's fine, welcome. But it cannot be the just one goal of your project. So you basically are not allowed to apply with a practically oriented or only applied sort of project.
Thank you. Another question, is a collaboration outside humanities and social sciences welcome, e.g. with a PI from computer sciences? Jonas, could you please take this question?
Yes, that would be welcome. So yeah, there needs to be either humanities or social sciences involved in the call, but it does not necessarily need to be a collaboration between some area of humanities and some area of social science, which, as I mentioned, is also always a matter of definitions. And certainly, yeah, if there's a reason that is justified to bring in expertise from other disciplines, this can fit very well.
Thank you. Next question. Just 1 second. Okay, next question. How can we collaborate with non-EU partner, for example, Ukraine? So as I mentioned in my presentation, you can involve cooperation partners. So researchers from Ukraine can be cooperation partners. So you're very welcome also to involve non-CHANSE countries as cooperation partners. But please keep in mind that some funding organizations may not allow for costs for these partners. So you have to carefully read your national regional eligibility requirements and check if cooperation partners can be funded. For example, they can be funded through subcontracting. Sometimes their travel and subsistence costs can be funded. So please check that. It's possible, but not always money for cooperation partners can be claimed, can be asked for in the proposal. Another question, are we allowed to offer mobility activities or trainings? So if you feel this is necessary for your proposal, because we do invite academic age balance also in the proposal, so invite you to involve pre-doctoral students, MA students, postdoc researchers. So if you feel that this is necessary for your proposal, please also include those activities. But also I would like to remind you that all costs and all activities that you plan in your proposal will be assessed by experts. So it's important to carefully plan it and also consider if it's necessary for your proposal. So yes, it is possible. And also check your national eligibility requirements if your funding agency can fund this type of costs. Let's have a look at the next question. Can we create artificial intelligence tools during the project? Can those costs be included in the project budget? Wojciech, could you briefly comment on this question? I think it's similar to the previous one.
Yes, of course. The same rule applies also to the AI tools as to the software. So you can plan something like this in your budget, but remember that it can be only let's say, something which is on the margin of your project. So you cannot apply with a project where in the central place stays create an AI tool. Of course, you are welcome to use them. If you have to, you can also develop your own, but remember, the research question is the most important part of your project.
Thank you. Next question. Could you say anything about the balance between your interest in impact on people individual versus a focus on the welfare state and public sector digitalization? So I think it's a question to Jonas.
Is it? Yes. Well, I think Wojciech said some things about impact and knowledge exchange. So that is an important aspect that will be evaluated as part of the call evaluation. And then I think the other two aspects are just certain examples of aspects that may be addressed, but obviously do not need to be addressed by all proposals. If I understood this right.
Maybe just to add to what Jonas just said, I think it's so apart from the call topics that we include in the call theme description, there is no other focus. So we do not prefer some type of research questions than others. So you are free to address the question yourself. So you must fall within the topic that we described. But you are free to choose your own focus, your own priorities in your proposal. So we do not, for example, prefer one type of questions to other types. So it's up to you. But please remember about the relevance to the call topic description.
Yes, yeah. Maybe this is probably good to stress again that the call text is the important reference here that is on the CHANSE.org website, and that's where really you find the definite answers, I think, and this has been agreed upon by all the funding agencies and the two networks, and this is what guiding all the decisions. So look into the description of scope that's in the call text.
Thank you. Next question. How about cross-domain, multidisciplinarity, humanities and computational social science, humanities, social sciences, and natural sciences? Jonas, are you ready to answer the question, or Wojciech, would you? Wojciech will take it.
Okay, so why not? Welcome. I mean, cross-domain, multidisciplinary humanities and social sciences, computational methods, and all other cross-cutting edge domains, I mean, are welcome. You have to remember, however, that you have to formulate this central research question and decide yourself under which subtopic your research actually you would like to be read by the experts. So whether your topic has more, let's say, is more humanities oriented, irrelevant what tools you use or what methodology you use, or you would like to be reviewed by the expert from the social sciences domain more, or you think that you have two, let's say, two domains addressed in the same way, and then probably you have to choose the mixed panel. Thank you.
Just to add also to what Wojciech just said, so we do have two topics, and you might have noticed that the first one is more humanities friendly. I mean, the terminology used there, it may be more friendly to humanities. In the second topic, terminology research questions are more friendly to social scientists. However, not necessarily. So if you feel that you work in the area of social sciences, but you feel that your research questions actually are in topic one, That's also fine. So please do not look at those topics as humanities versus social sciences. These are two topics, two different set of questions. But either if you're humanities or social sciences, you can choose both either one or two. It's not necessarily humanities versus social science. So please keep that in mind. Let's have a look at the next question. Can you specify the collaboration between science and wider groups, knowledge exchange and impact? How important is it to discuss it in the first application round? Wojciech, could you please answer this question?
Yes. Of course, you are probably not prepared at the application stage to predict what impact you may have or your research may have after your project is finished, because impact is something which occurs probably some time after you close your research and your results are already there. But there are some measures or some possibilities to maximize the chances for impact, and that's the knowledge exchange. That's why we encourage you to plan this strategy for knowledge exchange quite concrete, in quite concrete terms, already at the application stage, because it is one of the criterion which will be assessed during the review process. So it is important. Of course, you won't have probably much space in the first outline proposal stage, but you have probably already to have something in mind what you would like to do with your audiences outside academia, which you may develop then further during the full proposal stage.
Yes, so to add to what just Wojciech said, it's very important to add this component to your research already on the outline proposal stage, because we do emphasize it in the call theme description. So please keep that in mind, and please plan this component already on the outline proposal stage. Let's have a look at the next question. Is the development of software as a research tool for demonstration data gathering a valid activity within the project and eligible cost? Wojciech, I think it's a continuation.
Yeah, it's already, I think it has been already answered, yes. It's a tool which is valid, and it's a valid activity, and you can plan a budget for it.
What success rate do you expect, maybe based on experience with HERA and NORFACE? Yeah, so this is an important question, although it's a very difficult question to answer, because we don't know how many proposals we'll receive. So very, very difficult to say. The call budget is 36 million euros. So it's 10 million from the European Commission and plus around 26 million national allocations. So we cannot tell more at this stage because we do not know how many applications will be submitted. But as you see, the interest is quite big in the call. Let's have a look at the next question. Can we go beyond digitalization, virtualization, designing new hybrid realities? Jonas, would you answer the question?
Okay. Yes. Yeah, digitalization is just kind of the main headline topic that has been chosen, and as I see it, virtualization is probably some sort of digital form of technology. So in that sense, yes, I think this would fall within scope. Again, as Wojciech has said various times, there should be a research benefit from any technological development. But if this is useful to address a pertinent research question, then it can be beneficial to include technological innovation in the research itself. Or, yeah, one of those examples here of hybrid realities as a research object. Yes.
Thank you. Let's have a look at the next question. Is that right that only one PI per university is allowed? What about big universities with many faculties and research institutes? Does it mean a competition within university? So just to make it clear, in one proposal, there can be one principal investigator per university. But if we have a university that submits many different proposals, that's totally fine. So we can submit as many proposals from one university as you want. Just remember that in one proposal, there can be only one PI from a university. So if in one proposal, there is a collaboration between two departments, there should be just one principal investigator from that university in one proposal. But for example, University of Madrid or University of Freie University Berlin can submit as many proposals as they want to submit. So it's just in relation to one proposal, but one university can submit any applications they want. Thank you. Let's have a look at the next question. What exactly does the 4-4 rule mean? So it means that in one international proposal, there should be at least 4 national teams from 4 different countries participating in the call. So I presented you the list of countries participating. You can also find it on the CHANSE website. So remember that at least 4 national teams from 4 different countries. So for example, in one proposal, there should be Croatia, Germany, Spain, and Estonia. So at least those 4 different countries participating in the call. You can have more, but minimum is 4. What does it mean that projects with a wider perspective are prioritized? Wojciech, would you take this question? I'm not sure if it's exactly from our text, but
I think this question is about the widening countries. When you were saying about the tiebreaker, Malwina, I think this is for you.
Yes. So in the call, we do invite to include widening countries. This is the European Commission's priority, along with the gender balance. So we invite you to consider participation of widening countries in your research consortia. So widening countries are those whose participation in the framework program is smaller than all the so-called old member states. So we do invite you to include those countries in your projects. And the list of widening countries is also included in the call topic description in the call program. So please consider involving also widening countries in your proposal. Let's have a look at the next question. What's progress beyond the state of the art in potential for research excellence? Wojciech, would you take this question?
Yes, that basically means that you have to formulate a new research question, and you cannot just limit yourself to the pure description of the current state of the art. Of course, you may depart from such a state that you observe something, a phenomenon, or I don't know, or something interesting which is currently being studied, but you then find for yourself a completely different perspective, for example, or offer a new methodological tool to solve the problem. So that's the going beyond the state of the art, that there is something new, an innovative perspective your project wants to offer.
Thank you. Next question. Is it possible that no ethical issues will arise? So it may happen with proposals that offer theoretical questions, theoretical solutions. So it may happen. But if you, for example, plan research that involves human participants, surveys, interviews with people, so then ethical issues will arise. But it may happen that there's no ethical issues in your proposal. How many projects are expected to be invited for the second round? How many projects in total will be funded? So it's again questions related to knowledge exchange. Sorry, to the success rate. Sorry, to the success rate. So we don't know yet, but you can. So we know that we have 36 million. We recommend 1.5 million per international project, so you can check yourself more or less how many proposals we can fund, but there's no exact number that we expect. So it will depend on the budgets of submitted proposals and available funding. Let's have a look at the next question. What do you understand exactly under experimental designs? Do you refer to action research and practice-led methodologies? Jonas, could you please answer this question?
Yes. So in social science research, experimental designs normally involve the manipulation of some variable of interest by the experimenter. And this usually is done to help causal identification. And yeah, it can be done in the lab and it can be done in the field. So these would be kind of strict definitions of experimental designs. Action research and practice-led methodologies. I do not know those terminologies well enough to say really what they mean exactly. Sorry.
Yes, we will contact the proposal this question and make sure what the question is, and we will answer this question via email. Wojciech, would you like to add anything to this question?
Just from the humanities perspective, I mean, in the humanities we mostly refer to the theoretical principle, and of course you can build an experiment and carry out an experiment just to gather data or validate your theory. I do not know what practice-led methodology is. I mean, it's probably outside of my field, but of course there is a border state between some forms of humanities research and the art research. So probably, of course, you may go from one side to another, and you can be somewhere at the border between the research and the art practice. So then I think maybe that's something what the person had in mind. Of course, there are some modern streams in ethnology research which tell us that the old-fashioned methodology is outdated, and you have to live in or make your research combined with the practice. So you have to, for example, if you want to describe something, you have to go into this, let's say, into the core of the of your field, and ask people what they think about this and that. But I don't know if this has been meant here. I think normally what my feeling would be is this action and practice-led activities would, for my taste, would be part of the knowledge exchange more than the core research. And the experimental design, as I said, in humanities, it's probably something different than in the other fields. But maybe you can, Malwina, answer it per email when someone will describe more. I mean, what she had in mind.
Thank you. Let's have a look at the next question. How do you define digitalization? Can robotics be considered part of digitalization process, for instance? Jonas, would you be able to take this question?
Yes. So I think robotics would be one application of digital technologies, and yeah. So the definition of digitization is a very broad one, where it is opposed to analog technologies. And so basically anything that is based on sequences of zeros and ones is a digital technology.
Thank you. Then we have a question about the threshold. Does threshold 5 mean that all criteria have to be evaluated with at least 5 of 5 points to be possibly chosen? Yes, so this is correct. So in each criterion, you need to get at least 3 out of 5 in order to be recommended for the next stage and also for funding. So you need to have 3 out of 5 in all criteria. Can the project fund a PhD master researcher? In principle, yes. So we invite also young academic age researchers, but please check your national eligibility requirements to make sure that this position can be funded. Will a project per topic be funded, or a project per subtopic be funded, or should we explore all topics in one only project? So we have addressed already this question, but just to clarify once again, you can choose whatever question or research problem included in the call theme description. We do not have any focus on any of the topics, only excellence matters, and we want to fund best proposals irrespective of the topic. So the research excellence here impact is the most important criterion. Can we have the next question? How exactly is financial reporting by PL organized? Has the PL present the reports in the end of each year or only in the end? So for funded projects, we will ask a project leader to report to CHANSE Call Secretariat twice. So first, we will ask for a midterm report and then for final report. So PL reports on behalf of all principal investigators. But please remember, I already emphasized that national funding organizations also may ask you for a national report. So then the PI will have to also report to their national or regional funding organization. Next question, can we add more cooperation partners in the second phase of the call? So we would like you to already plan your knowledge exchange and cooperation partners at the outline proposal stage. In exceptional cases, we may also accept cooperation partners at the second stage, but please try to make the proposal as final as possible. We would not like to have too many changes because the proposals will be assessed on the outline proposal stage, so it's important to not to change too many things in your applications. However, if in the reviews from experts there will be an encouragement to add cooperation partners, it will be possible to add cooperation partners in the next round. You have a group of partners with researchers from both humanities and social sciences. Do you then encourage that we apply for both? So again, I would like to emphasize that we do not talk here about humanities and social sciences. We talk about two topics. So remember that so the distinction between topic 1, topic 2, and both is if you ask research questions or if you focus on questions included in those topics. So not humanities topic 1, social sciences topic 2. It's about the text of the topic 1, topic 2. It's about research problem, not about humanities versus social sciences. So if you feel that your proposal asks questions included in topic 1 and topic 2, then please choose both. But please focus on the topics, not areas of research. Can you say a bit more on the international review panel? Who is this composed by? Are they experts within the field, or do they take a more general approach? So this is an important question. Thank you for this question. So at the outline proposal phase, your projects will be assessed by international independent review panel. It will be composed of researchers from all over the world, nominated by funding organizations involved in CHANSE and also by CHANSE Advisory Committee, composed of HERA and NORFACE networks delegates. So final selection will be will be the role of funding organizations involved in the program. So these will be experts in the area of the topics of our call. However, not necessarily they'll be expert specialists in the exact topic of your proposal. So specialists in the exact topic of your proposals will be involved at the second stage. So it's important to formulate your proposal in a way that researchers who are not experts exactly in your research question in the topic included in your proposal also understand it. So if you have any concepts that are very specific or terminology that is very specific to the topic of your proposal, please do not forget to explain it maybe in a bit broader terms, so that someone who is not a specialist exactly in the topic of your proposal also understand it. So the first step is will be in the first step your application will be assessed by experts in your area, but but they may not be exactly specialists in your topic. This will be the case in the second round. The first part, humanities, and the second part, social sciences, are discussed. What about the both versions? What are the determinants here? So I think it has already been also answered. Please focus on the research questions in both topics and decide if your application, if your proposal include those two areas, two topics. Can we have EU partners that are not taking part in CHANSE projects, Netherlands or Ireland? Yes, they can be involved as cooperation partners. So it means they have to secure their own funding. So there was also a question in chat about what does it mean to secure your own funding? It means that your cooperation partners may have grants from other institutions and get involved with this funding in your project. But also they can provide so-called in-kind contribution. It means, for example, they can devote person months, so they can be included in parts of your project, but they do not expect you to fund their research tasks. However, some funding organizations do allow funding for subcontracting or travel costs for cooperation partners. So make sure, please check with your national funding organization, because some of them can fund some research tasks or some costs of your cooperation partner.
Maybe I can add to that this also applies to non-European. Okay, this is the next question. Okay, yeah. So if you have partners in the US, in Australia or South Africa, you are welcome to join as non-funded cooperation as well.
So can we have, yes, here we can, there's a question, can affiliates outside Europe be included in our team even if they do not work at our home institution? And also, so for some funding organization, you can actually employ in your national team, you can employ researchers from outside of your country, but not all countries allow for that. So also check your national regional eligibility requirements to check if researchers from outside of your country can be a part of your national team. It may happen sometimes, but not necessarily. Let's have a look at the next question. Is innovation connected to the technology, or is social innovation and transformation as reaction to digital possibilities just as valid? Jonas, can you please answer this question?
Okay, yeah. Let me add to the previous one that what we mentioned about the eligibility of partners and so on is also kind of applies in similar ways to the empirical basis of the research. I think that was what the question was about. So if there, I mean, Europe needs to be included. Certainly some of the participating countries, but if there's a comparison that is transatlantic or with parts of Asia or whatever, that would fall within scope. Yes, social innovation just as valid. Yeah, not as valid if there's nothing related to digitization. I mean, that is kind of the core theme of the call. But then in the brackets, yes, if it's a reaction to digitization, this is what we mentioned various times. So the consequences of digitization is really one of the key themes of this call. and certainly valid. But if it's not connected at all to digitalization and just something related to other social innovations that do not have any relation to this technological component, then it would be outside of scope. Wojciech wants to add.
And also add for the, let's say, from perspective that yes, you are free to choose any topic about the innovation, which is not only conceived as the technology, but somehow this topic and your period of time you work on has to do something with the digital component. So, for example, you may research, I don't know, the invention of script, but in comparison, for example, with the current situation, we are using the emoticons and so on. So you can, for example, try to predict which direction the script development will take. But of course, you may have the, let's say, the other components from other periods of time and cultures and so on. But remember, your point of departure is actually the current situation and the digital revolution, as you'd like to call it, and actually the transformation, so the effect it brings in our life in various spheres. Thank you.
Thank you for explaining it. And the next question, how is relationship between data, how is relation between data already collected and data to be collected in the project? Should we focus on what is already there more than on collecting new data? So this is the first question. Jonas, would you be able to take this question?
I think so. Not often it is easier to make scientific progress if you collect new data, but this is not per se a precondition. So if you are able to formulate an innovative research question and answer it with existing data, that is fair enough. I mean, for example, talking about digitization, there could be proposals with data scrapping from social media platforms, for example. This is data that already exists, but yeah, so you would collect it in a different form, right? So maybe these are relevant distinctions here. And again, there could be criteria in your regional and national funding organization that prioritizes certain research approaches over others. So yeah, we are afraid that you need to absolutely always check these eligibility criteria for all funding agencies that would be involved in your proposals to make sure that everything kind of checks the relevant boxes. And so just to say that there was one question asking, can there be a unified set of rules? And yeah, we are afraid this is Europe, and it's not possible. But yeah, you have everything collected in the relevant documentation. Then about the second part of the question, gender balance. Yeah, I think the aim would be to get close enough to a 50-50 split. Yes. Obviously, if there's a diverse gender identity, then this doesn't work anymore, right? So this is again rather, let's say, it's a soft guideline, and it needs to be evaluated sensitively. How central is COVID for the call? Maybe Wojciech, do you want to say something about this?
So you have to imagine that this call has been prepared, I don't know, 1 year before COVID appeared. So we didn't, we didn't think about something like that. But on the other hand, especially in this topic 2, subtopic 3, I think education and digitalization, it might be decentral right now. So you have to, you have to remember and that when we are talking here about this program and about the concept of this call, you are asking us about this topic, or I don't know, COVID, or mixed methods, or I don't know, practitioner methods, and so on. We do not know, because you have to, it's your responsibility as the PIs and PLs to actually formulate a research question. And if you want to take the COVID perspective, why not? I mean, it might be a very innovative research because you have spotted something which occurred due to the COVID situation. If you want to apply this and other methods, why not? I mean, you have to convince the review panel that it is a valid perspective. So there is no preference a priori to this and that models, but remember that it's your responsibility to make the case. If you can do this, that's great. That's probably the excellent proposal. So COVID is not central, so we do not give any priority to any topic. But if you want to apply this perspective, please do this, because it might give you a completely different perspective on various things, not only on the education, communication, I don't know, politicization of the media and the language and so on. You know? But it is not a COVID-led program.
Thank you. And the last question in this set of questions, what are the requirements for cooperation partners? It says in the text that they come from countries not in the call. So cooperation partners are either your partners from non-CHANSE countries or also stakeholders who will support you in knowledge exchange activities. So as I mentioned, they, in principle, they should secure their own funding or provide in-kind contribution to the project. But some funding organizations can actually fund some research tasks or travel costs of cooperation partners. So again, please check your national regional eligibility requirements. If you have detailed question, you can also contact your national contact points. And their addresses, email addresses are in the national regional eligibility requirements document and also on the CHANSE website in the call for proposals section of the website. Next questions. Consequences of digitalization, silver economy perspective, would it be relevant? Jonas, would you be able?
Yeah, so the silver economy is normally defined as the consumption of older adults and how it has gained in importance over recent decades with rising incomes among third age citizens. So this is not directly related to our call per se, but obviously there may be ways to connect digitalization to the silver economy. But yeah, that would be up to the applicant to spell out how the two are related. And yeah, I can certainly see this being possible and interesting. But yeah, it will need to be developed.
Thank you. What policy implications are expected in general? So I think it's related to the question of impact. Wojciech, would you be able to answer this question?
I don't know what is meant here, what policy implications. We do not expect that we do not impose that your research has to have any policy implications. It is one of the possibilities that your impact can be validated as a policy implication, that it's something you may produce as the result of your research, but it is not expected that each kind of project will formulate any implications like that. So you may work also with museums, with galleries, with NGOs, with policymakers, but also with some communities, with I don't know, with education sphere, and then of course your possible audience for knowledge exchange or for future impact will be completely different than the policymakers. So don't worry, you are not supposed to formulate a policy implications in each project. Depending on your topic, I mean, it might be a space to formulate something new, but it is not a rule in general.
Thank you, Wojciech. And the next question, do principal investigators from each country have to develop their own knowledge exchange activities, or is it possible that a number of involved PIs develop shared activities with one external group? So I would like to emphasize that this is one project. So it's one project with participation of PIs from different countries, but please keep that in mind that this is one project. So we have to formulate your common knowledge exchange strategy. Of course, there will be certain tasks or certain focuses that each PI takes or performs, but this is one project and this is up to you to provide a coherent research agenda, coherent proposal with a central goal for the whole proposals. Jonas, would you like to add?
Yeah, just and maybe playing it back to you again, Malwina, because I think it would be good to mention that in both HERA and NORFACE, there have always been in previous programs kind of overarching knowledge exchange activities. So in NORFACE, we have always one website dedicated to each program. So all the projects then funded within one program have kind of a joint space, and then we'll also meet in joint meetings, etc. I know HERA has had similar formats. So maybe Malwina, you can say just one more word on how this may then play out in practice, so that researchers know that they are not left on their own with this kind of outreach activity.
Mm-hmm. So Jonas is relating to the post-grant process or post-grant phase. So when proposals are granted funding, we will formulate a program for all funded projects. So we will have a knowledge exchange facilitator, a person or persons who will help you develop your knowledge exchange component in your research. So, but this will be a post-grant phase. But right now, I think you're also asking about knowledge exchange component in submitted projects. So it's important that you have your common strategy throughout the whole proposal. Wojciech?
Yes, one thing more, just to add, you're right, Malwina, you said, and I think it's really important, the project you will apply with is a one project. It is not a sum of four, let's say, four sub-projects. It has to be a one coherent research program. But of course, you have to remember that you have at least 4 national budgets. And depending what you are planning as knowledge exchange strategy, you will have to put it in under 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 budgets. So it might be tricky just to have just one, let's say, group from one country, and then to coordinate all activities within or through, or to stream them through this channel. So you will see, depending on which audiences you would like to engage with, you probably will have at least 2 or 3 various partners. And then you have to remember also about this practical side. You have to, let's say, divide this budget so that it would be easy and smooth, and you don't want to have any, let's say, administrative problems with dividing and sending money abroad from your country. So normally there are, at least I would say from the HERA perspective, at least 2 or 3 various organizations in different countries. It is then easier to stream the money from the administrator's point of view. So I don't really think that it is really easy to find such one existing group which would be an ultimate audience of your knowledge exchange activities, because it might be it might bring also only one perspective to your research, and you would like to have a multiply perspectives per project. But depending on your strategy, if you think that's the right strategy, you have to demonstrate it in your application. We do not impose any formal requirement here.
Thank you. Question from the Facebook live stream. Can we include international NGO in the project, or it has to be national? If international NGO participates, to which country PI it should be attached? So again, it's up to you. So NGOs from outside of Europe or outside of CHANSE countries are allowed, of course. If you can justify it in your project, if it's necessary for your project, they're allowed. And it also depends to you which PI they're attached to. It depends on the division of tasks in your project. So if you feel that, for example, PI from Spain should be attached to the NGO, should be attached to Spain, it's your choice. It depends on the division of tasks in your project. And let's have a look at the next one. Can you please answer to that question? And if we are all declared eligible, but for example, Romania has very small budget and our proposal will be rejected due to the lack of budget at national level, what happens with the consortium? So again, as we said, we treat each proposal as one proposal. We do not treat it as a proposal with sub-projects. So either the entire consortium is funded, the entire international project is funded, or no one is funded. So we fund projects as a whole, not national parts. So we need to have money for all partners to be able to fund it. Let's have a look at the next question from Facebook. Do we expect that one PI acts also as PL, or it is two different people? So from one national team, two people have leading roles as PI and PL respectively. I'm not sure if I understand this question. So just to remind you, so we have at least 4 principal investigators, each representing a national team, and one of these 4 takes a role of the project leader. So a person who is a PL is at the same time also a PI of a national team. So it means 4 PIs, one of these 4 PIs is a project leader. I hope this answers your question.
Yeah, so I think the second part of the answer is no. Not within the same institution. There cannot be a PI and a PL, but it's just one.
All right, that's true. Yeah. Cooperation partners don't have a budget. This indicates the question. Principal investigators will be able to finance, e.g. travel costs of cooperation partners from their own budget. Yes. So if the cooperation partners are not eligible for funding, the money should come from national budgets of principal investigators. So in your national budget, you have to secure funding for travel costs of your cooperation partner. Yes.
Subject to national and regional rules for cost eligibility.
Yes, thank you for reminding. It's important. Yes, please double check. Let's have a look at the next question. Will PI also be financed? Yes, so they can ask for funding from their national funding organization. So they have to provide the budget in the EPSS system, the electronic system. Let's have a look at the next question from Facebook. What are the estimated shares of projects at each stage? How many projects more will be invited to provide the full version than the expected funded number of projects? Twice as many. So it's also difficult to answer these questions because we don't know what the budgets will be. Difficult to answer. So there isn't an exact number of proposals that will be sent to the second stage. Can Latvia be a leader of the project, widening countries? Of course, all countries that I showed you in my presentation, or countries participating in the call can be project leaders. So only countries, but also I want to emphasize, so only countries involved in the call can act as project leaders or principal investigators. So researchers based on in those countries. So any country can be a leader. We especially also encourage widening countries to be leaders in the proposals. I'm now referring to the eligibility process. After the eligibility process comes the evaluation process. More explicitly, if a partner is rejected, what happens with the consortium? Is the whole consortium rejected? Yes, this is an important question. Yes, so if at the eligibility stage, one research team is not eligible, then the whole consortium is ineligible. As I mentioned, we treat the proposal as one international proposal, and we evaluate it as a whole. So if one principal investigator is not eligible, then the whole consortium is not eligible, unfortunately. Yeah.
But I think in this case, the question is about something else. It's actually the project as the whole will be reviewed. So the evaluation criteria 3 by 5, so the threshold applies to the entire project and not the singular partners. So remember, eligibility process you do with your, let's say, national contact point according to the national requirements, but the evaluation applies to the entire project as the whole. So this do not fear the situation that you as a partner, for example, from Poland, you do not meet the criteria 3 by 5. No, entire project can or meet, or maybe it will not meet the criteria, but it applies to the entire project.
Thank you for specifying that. I also want to remind you that the project description, it's a 5-page description, which is written by project leader, so by the whole team, and submitted by the project leader on behalf of all principal investigators. So this 5-page description should describe the project as a whole, not focus on 4 different projects, sub-project. It's one project. Okay, I think we have time just for the last question. Could private corporations contribute to funding and to get a copyright of a product in return? I think it's a difficult question, and I think it also depends on national regulations. Wojciech, would you like to?
I don't really understand, I mean, the situation, but imagine that's the, let's say, a research program which is co-founded by the EU. So, and it is funded primarily from the public money. So whatever national or the EU money, that's why you will be asked, for example, to publish open access if it's possible, and so on. So remember that there are some regulations at the EU level which regulate it. So if you get published by the public money, I mean, you are required to open up with the results. If you allow, for example, so I cannot understand that the private corporation would like to, maybe they would like to buy your results. So you are free to sell it afterwards, maybe, but please check with the national requirements and with the EU requirements, because that's the, let's say, intellectual property rights regulations and copyright and open science problem and so on. So and the ways how to commercialize your research, which is completely different and varies from university to university probably, and from country to country. That's why I would advise you to double check with your university first, and then with the EU legislation.
Thank you very much. This was the last question. So the session has been recorded. You will be able also to follow it, to watch it once again on Facebook, because it was streamlined. We didn't have a chance to answer all questions posted in the chat, but we will have a look at them and add it to our frequently asked questions. So please check on our website. We will add answers to those questions on our website in the frequently asked questions document. If you feel that you still have some questions, please contact us on CHANSE at ncn.gov.pl and follow us on social media. You can see it now in the slide. Thank you once again for your wonderful presence at our meeting and your enthusiastic response to our call. We're very happy that the call is that you're so much interested in the call that we just published. I would like to thank Wojciech and Jonas for answering all the questions. It was also very interesting for us to hear your questions and answer them. And I also want to thank my colleague Michał Kaczmarek, who was behind the scenes with us all the time, checking everything works fine. So thanks, Michał. He was helping us with the questions as well. And thank you again for your participation. Let's keep in touch on Facebook, through our website, and we can't wait for your proposals. Looking forward to have them in our system. Thank you so much. Have a good time. Stay safe and healthy. Thank you.
you.
Bye bye.
Bye bye, everybody.
Bye bye.